Kevin Gordon here from Auto Savant with your February 15th edition of the Afternoon Commute, number 20 in the series. Today, coming to you from this lovely 2012 Suzuki Kizashi, a car that, in all honesty, not enough people know about, which is a bit of a shame because it is a nice little thing. The interior really isn't anything to write home about, but it is a handsome car on the outside. I would have to say that to my eye, it may be the best looking sedan in the world. I think its proportions are right. It's got a great stance. The wheels are wonderful. The paint's nice. I love the way this thing looks. So we'll be spending a week with the Kizashi, try to figure out how it drives and all the other things about it. So to get started with the afternoon commute, the first thing I need to do is remove my foot from my mouth. And the reason I have to do that is because yesterday I talked a bit about the fact that the electric car companies, the specialty manufacturers out there, Tesla and Fisker, might be in a little bit of trouble. The preliminary reports for Tesla coming into their quarterly statement did not look good, and as it turned out today, they were quite good. In fact, Tesla took orders for, I think it's 500 of the Model X's, so their upcoming crossover vehicle. As a result, they were able to put $40 million in their bankroll. So the markets took a look at their stock and jacked it up quite a bit. Their stock's trading up in the mid-30s at this point. So at least the analysts in the street seem to think that there is a future for Tesla out there. And I was hopefully wrong about what I was saying about them yesterday. Up next, the 2012 Geneva Auto Show is going on, and there's a bunch of announcements that are coming out of that. Unfortunately, I'm not in Geneva right now. I have to imagine it's a lovely place to be right now. The one thing that caught my eye from Geneva is the fact that there's a refreshed version of the Ferrari California coming, which is going to be 66 pounds lighter than last year's, and it's also going to have 30 or 40 more horsepower. The result of that is it gets a 0 to 60 time under 4 seconds. And there's also going to be a special handling package available that will fit it with the magnetic shock absorbers that are available on the California, similar to those that are available on a bunch of the GM products, including the upcoming Camaro ZL1, which makes it handle a lot better. And you know, the gripe against the California is it's, Ferrari never really intended to have a front engine V8 rear wheel drive car that wasn't sort of classified as one of the Dino models. Well, here's something to stick in your hat. It is the only Ferrari still available with a gated 6-speed shifter out there. So for those of you who are clinging on to the hopes of a manual, the California, I think, is your only hope at this point. Number 3 for today, Business Week had an interesting article about the fact that gas prices are at on their way up. The national average at this point is above $3.50 a gallon, and they're guessing that it's going to be above $4 a gallon before summer. What's odd about that is gasoline demand is at its lowest level since 1997. So they were a bit flummoxed as to why prices are so high, given the fact that demand's low. They had 2 answers for that. One of them is the fact that the hedge funds out there, so private equity firms, are betting long on gasoline. In fact, I think they quoted the fact that they've bet $11 billion on the futures of gas, which is, the speculation is driving up the prices. The second reason seems to be that since prices dropped, the gap between the cost of crude oil and the price that they could sell it for refined as gasoline wasn't big enough. So a few of the oil refineries shut down. So oil refining capabilities in the United States is at another all-time low. So those two factors seem to be cranking up oil prices. It should be interesting to see because they're predicting that later in the summer, prices go up, refineries come back online, which takes, more than a day, and prices go back down. We shall see. And finally, Aaron Robinson from Car and Driver wrote an article today that I believe the title was, "Could I Get Some More Honda and Mazda in My Hyundai?" or Hyundai. And since I've been driving Hyundais for the last couple of weeks, it sort of caught my eye and I gave it a read. Yeah, I marked it red. I gave it a read. He started off by talking about the fact that if, Hyundai and Kia really live under the same corporate umbrella, and if all Kia is going to do is market, redressed Hyundais, they're doomed for failure at some point, given, Buick and all the GM derivatives and, let's face it, like the troubles that Lincoln is seeing really rebadging just Ford products. That part to me isn't so interesting. I mean, Kia's doing quite well. They've got some interesting image going for them right now. The thing that was interesting was the fact that he was talking about the fact that until a Kia is actually a good handling car, they're going to have some problems. And I think he quoted the fact that they're, either floaty or bone-jarringly harsh in their ride and handling, and then went on to compare an Elantra to a Focus, saying if you're driving an Elantra over a set of railroad tracks compared to a Focus, you'll notice the difference in structural rigidity. And to be honest with you, in the time that I spent in both the Veloster and the smaller Accent, the rides were economy car-like, I think would be the kindest way to say it. They're not super smooth, not the most damp things in the world, but they didn't strike me as glaringly bad in any way, shape, or form, and body rigidity wasn't one of those things that I noticed was any issue. Typically the results of unrigid body are immediately detectable in things like squeaky dashboards, and you can tell in the panels. But driving this Suzuki today did make me realize how, wonderfully damped and how good the ride quality is in this car. So he may have a point. My final thought on that, though, is the fact that, using Honda today as an example of a car company that builds something that handles well is a little odd. Let's face it, the modern Civic and even the CR-V, they're not great handling cars. They've gone away from some of their multi-link rear suspensions to go to torsion beams in the back. It's a bit of an odd example, and, it's true that Honda may have had a great racing pedigree, but where's it today? So that's all I had for the day. It's your afternoon commute for the 15th of February. I'm Kevin Gordon from Autosavant.com, and I look forward to talking to you tomorrow.